has believed our report, and to whom has the arm of Yahuwah revealed? For he grew up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of dry ground. He had no form or splendor that we should look upon him, nor appearance that we should desire him. Despised and rejected by men, a man of pains and knowing sickness, and as one from whom the face is hidden, being despised, and we did not consider him. Truly, he has borne our sicknesses and carried our pains. Yet we reckoned him smitten, stricken by Elohim, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our crookednesses. The chastisement for our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. We all, like sheep, went astray. Each one of us has turned to his own way, and Yahuwah has laid on him the crookedness of us all. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, but he did not open his mouth. He was led as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers is silent, but he did not open his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment. And as for his generation, who considered that he shall be cut off from the land of the living? For the transgression of my people he has stricken. And he was appointed a burial site with the wrong and with the rich at his death, because he had done no violence, nor was deceit in his mouth. But Yahuwah was pleased to crush him. He laid sicknesses on him, and when he made himself an offering for guilt, he would see his seed. He would prolong his days, and the pleasure of Yahuwah prosper in his hand. He would see the result of the suffering of his life and be satisfied. Through his knowledge, my righteous servant makes many righteous, and he bears their crookednesses. Therefore I give him a portion among the great, and he divides the spoil with the strong, because he poured out his being unto death. And he was counted with the transgressors, and he bore the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors. Yeshayahu 53.
Amen.
Amen.
So, happy Passover.
Happy Pesach.
This is our Passover today on the pagan day of April 30th, but the 14th day of the first month.
Y'all's calendar.
Abib. Yeah, y'all's. Well, yeah, and this is not going to be a calendar video, but, you know, I think there's so many people in Torah right now trying to figure this calendar out, and it's and I think, you know, we're all doing it out of love and trying to seek his days and his ways. Mm-hmm. You know, and I don't think, honestly, in my opinion, I don't think it's been revealed yet fully.
Yeah.
But this is the different Passover we've ever done this year.
Yeah.
You know, going by the full moon, new moon,
mm-hmm.
And not the sliver new moon.
Yeah.
Which puts today as the 14th.
Yes.
And so we'll be posting this probably not today. Because we're just reading right now for Passover, and tomorrow will be a rest day, a Sabbath, mm-hmm. And so we'll probably be posting it, I don't know, in a few days during the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So happy Passover, and to those who've already celebrated happy Passover, It's an amazing time, and like I said, we're not saying, oh, this is the way we gotta, you know, this is the right day, you know, we're doing the right calendar. We have no idea. We're trying to seek Yah the best we can.
And as you're saying that, I'm just thinking of that verse in Joel that says, in the last days, he'll pour out his spirit upon all flesh. Mm-hmm. And I do feel like, you know, I was trying to find the verse, but what does it say? There it is. I'll come right to it. You know, and I can't remember what verse it is in here, but it's, you know, basically saying, right, young men will dream dreams, and men will have visions.
Is it Acts 7:28?
Oh, I thought it was in Joel.
Well, I mean, but it's repeated in Acts.
Oh, is it? Okay. But that's just, it made me think of that because...
Or Acts 2 something. I can't remember. But go ahead.
I do, just because I think that's what Yah has put that spirit within you to desire, to celebrate his appointed times in their actual appointed time. And so, you know, we are, you know, diligently seeking this out and praying for Yah to guide our steps. And we did feel led to celebrate Passover on the full moon, new moon. And maybe one day we'll share more of that. But today we're just praising Yah for the sacrifice of our Passover lamb, Yahushua HaMashiach, right?
Amen.
And that's what this is about, because, you know, the more we read, the less we realize we know nothing. I mean, we are just coming at this as little children. We want to have childlike faith. We desire to have childlike faith as we pursue Yah's truth and the truth of His word. But this day is a day of remembrance for me. And I'm trying not to cry, but
it's been beautiful already.
It has been. It reminds me of the first year we celebrated Passover in 2018.
2018, yeah.
And we celebrated Easter that same year, by the way. Full disclosure.
Yeah.
I mean, we went to Easter Sunday, and
was it 2018?
Yeah, 2018 was the last year that we were
Easter
at church and celebrating Easter. But I will tell you that for sure, 2018, but 2019, when we really kind of forsook the traditions of man and these pagan holidays, and we just turned our eyes and fixed our eyes on Yah's day. And this is the first one, right? I think a lot of people, this is the first day that that you celebrate when you're coming out of the world's holidays. This is the first appointed time, Yah's appointed time that you're celebrating. It's Pesach.
Most people come to Sabbath.
Yeah, Sabbath.
Seems like
that's
Sabbath
right.
is like the big thing.
Yeah.
Because that's so easy to see. It's a 10 Commandments, so it should be something that could, be so easy to, maybe I should be doing this. And then the more you study about Sabbath, you realize, wait a second, there's other appointed times. There's feast days. There's these beautiful times of rest that we are to be doing. I mean, Sabbath is mentioned in Leviticus 23.
It is the first appointed time. It is a set apart day, just like the other. Yes.
And they're His.
Yes.
They're not the Jews. They're not the Jewish people's feast days. They were given to the tribe of Judah along with all the other tribes and the stranger that sojourned with them. So it was given to all the tribes of Israel plus the people who came out of Egypt with them.
Yes.
And we are still coming out of Egypt and still coming out of this slavery in Babylon right now.
Yeah.
And but God,
I do want to read Joel 2. I'm sorry, I just want to, because there is something that just kind of ties us together with the signs in the seasons. It's Joel 2:28. And after this it shall be that I pour out my spirit on all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men dream dreams. Your young men see visions. And also on the male servants and on the female servants I shall pour out my spirit in those days. And I shall give signs in the heavens and upon the earth. And then it goes on. Blood and fire and columns of smoke, and the sun will turn to darkness and the moon to blood before the coming of the great and awesome day of Yahuwah. But
that could have been the 2017 eclipse, solar eclipse. Could have been the blood moon tetrads before that.
And there is an eclipse, right, happening?
There is an eclipse happening today, the 30th of April. Today. By the way, that is Acts 2:17 through 18 as well.
Okay, yeah. So you want to read that? Or is it just basically reiterating the same thing? But, he says in those days he's going to give signs in the heaven, and I think we're just learning more and more about the significance. And it really has started, I think, for me with our Targum talk in Genesis 1 and really understanding more of the luminaries, and just how everything is governed by those signs.
It's Yahuwah's timepiece in the sky.
Oh, I love that.
For us to be able to tell what time we're in.
Yes. That's what ancient Israel used.
Yeah.
That was their clock.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
And their calendar. Their clock and the calendar were the signs in the heaven, their timepiece. I love that.
And what does Yeshua say? Yahusha says, look up for your redemption draweth nigh, right? Mm-hmm. Is that Yeshua that says that? But, look up for your redemption draws nigh. It's almost like it might have some more meaning to just be looking up.
Yeah.
Because we'll see him in the clouds. Yeah, of course, that's what it means. But maybe it also means, hey, look up and learn. Look up and learn who I am.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that made me start looking up was to discover that I'm not on some spinning globe hurtling through infinite space. Yes. I'm just a speck on some globe. I'm not.
Yeah.
We are human beings, the children of Yah, placed on the ground of heaven.
Yes, the ground floor.
The ground floor of all the heavens, the Shemaims.
Yeah.
And
that's Hebrew for heavens, right?
Yeah, and the firmaments, and that the kingdom is coming down from the third firmament, coming down. Yeah. Not coming up if you live in Australia, but coming down.
Yeah.
There's this is, it's so beautiful because when you discover that, it made me start looking up like, whoa, Yahuwah's right there.
Yeah.
He's literally right up there. I just can't see him because of my own transgression.
Yeah. And it's almost like he gave us, in my mind, he gave us these set apart gatherings, these appointed times, through the signs, using those signs that govern his appointed times. But so, they're right here. They're in front of us. The sun's literally shining right here in front of us, right? The moon shines at night in front of us. The stars, the Mazzaroth, is that right?
Yeah.
They're in the sky at night, and he's literally saying, hey, just look up. Like everything is governed by these things.
Yeah.
The new year, the new month, the appointed times, planting,
everything.
Planting by the signs, all of these things.
The future as well. There's prophecy all involved with the Mazzaroth.
Yes.
And Mazzaroth or whatever.
And I just have to, Leviticus 23, and I just wish more people would just, read their Bibles from the beginning, the very beginning. It's just, the end from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But, Yah tells us that, these appointed times, these laws, which are not a burden, by the way, even John says that. John tells us in the newer writings that these laws are not a burden, but they're forever throughout all generations, and they're not for the Jews. They aren't, they aren't Jewish, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
They are for the Jews, but if you truly believe in the Son, in Yahusha, he died on the cross, he atoned for your sins, you are redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, then you are reconciled back to the Father. And if you truly desire to walk as Yahusha walked, he tells you how to do that.
Yeah.
Everything that he came on this earth to do points back to the Father. And he even says there is none good but the Father. And I just read, I'm going to say this, and I'm sorry, the Holy Spirit's got me on a roll right now. But I have to read this because I read this morning, Psalms 89:34 says, I shall not profane my covenant, neither would I change what has gone out from my lips. The Father has not changed. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever.
He is not a man that he should lie.
He is not a man that he should lie. I know I'm probably speaking to like 3 people, but if you don't believe that these appointed times are set apart for you, then you are not going to receive, and you're not part of the new covenant either.
You're a heathen.
I don't want to get off on that tangent,
Sorry.
but
that's you're Gentile.
But you Passover is amazing. It is not, and honestly, we don't sell it. There's a lot of traditions built into your traditional Passover, celebrated, through Judaism, through the religion of Judaism, right?
Yeah.
And we don't follow the traditions of man. We look to Scripture to tell us how to celebrate Passover, and I think we're going to maybe share some of those things today.
Well, sure, you come to it as a little child.
Yeah.
And you come to it as a little child, you don't know nothing. You don't know anything. So what do? You ask your dad. You ask your father, like, well, how do I do this? Like, what does this mean? Like, what do I do? What does this Passover mean?
Yeah.
Like, how do I? And he tells you, he's got it written down for you. Mm-hmm. And it's so easy to say, okay, we're coming to Passover. What do we do? And we Google it.
Yeah.
We go straight to Google and we see a Seder meal or something like that. Are there anything? I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with some of these things.
Yeah.
But the problem is it's taking the place of doing it the way Yah intended, which is exactly what Yahushua was telling the Pharisees.
Yes.
Which, they fully neglected the commandments of Elohim to follow the traditions of man. Mm-hmm. And that's what they were teaching, traditions of man.
Yes.
And that's what the Christian church right now is doing. We say Christians so much, and I don't want to be like we're coming down on Christians and have a problem with them, but we grew up this way.
Yeah.
And to grow up this way, and to see it different, and then we try to tell everyone, like, hey, this is amazing, check it out. We've had so much
resistance
and hate and anger. We've been called so many names, and people hate us. People literally hate us, and it's sad. I've lost friends and family because of this, because of Torah. And of course, why wouldn't I? Because Yahushua said, you must hate your family. You must hate everyone.
Yeah.
in your own life also for my sake, for his sake. And he is the Word.
Something that struck me this as I was reading, I've been desiring to study out Passover even more because we have seen, this thread of the Passover celebration beginning with Adam and Eve. From the very beginning, Passover was being celebrated on the 14th day of the first month of the new year, if I'm saying that correctly. But as I'm studying Exodus 12, something that struck me, because again, I'll say this, and I want to come across as gentle when I say this, but Yahushua, when he's speaking to Moshe, to Moses and Aaron, and telling them, he's basically getting ready. He's presenting them with these, hey, these are the feast days. These are the appointed times that I'm telling you. Verse 3 of chapter 12 says, "Speak to all the congregation of Yisrael." All the congregation. Okay, so you could read that literally and say it's just, those Israelites exiting Egypt, But I read this as congregation literally translates back to the Hebrew as in a herd, right? Or a flock. And I think of when Yahushua says in John 14, he's speaking and he says, there are others that are outside of the flock that I have to gather. I have to gather those that are outside of the herd, outside of the flock, to become one flock, because I am the shepherd gathering my flock. And we are grafted in. We are grafted in. We believe in Yahushua HaMashiach, and we have the blessing of being grafted in to Israel. So when Yahuwah is speaking about these appointed times, he's speaking to all the congregation. This is everyone. And I can tell you why it doesn't end, because it doesn't end with ancient Israel. It didn't end when Yahushua died on the cross. I can tell you why. Because verse 14, Yahuwah says, "This day shall become to you a remembrance, and you shall celebrate it as a festival to Yahuwah," as a party, celebration throughout your generations, plural. Celebrate it as a festival, an everlasting law forever. Because why he's saying that is because we will be doing this, and he will teach us how to do it perfectly, but we will all be doing this one day in New Jerusalem. So why not go ahead and do it now?
Like we're supposed to.
Yeah. And I don't know. It just excites me.
Back what you were saying, you said you're talking about just that, this is a statute for Israel. Well, there was, of course, this was Hebrews that were taken out of the land of Egypt, but there were strangers among them, tons of them. It said a multitude of strangers. If you go back to Revelation, you have the 144,000 of Israelites, the Hebrews, of the 12 tribes. In Revelation, they're taken out, 144,000. But you go forward a couple chapters, I think, and it's talking about a multitude with them. I think it's not even a couple. I think it's the next chapter, but it says, "And with them was a multitude." There's going to be a multitude on the second Exodus, along with the children of Yasharel, because they were chosen. They were chosen to be re-given the Torah. Just like Abraham was chosen, just like Yaakov, just like Enoch, and all these people were given this Torah to obey. And he's trying to help us. He has, he's been trying to help us since Adam transgressed. He's been trying to help us. Adam transgressed his Torah, and it's constant. It's so funny because we're doing the exact same things they've always done. There's, Israel saying, "No, we don't have to follow that one. Nah, don't worry about those. Don't worry about following those commands. They're done." That was just for the people that came out of the Exodus. The cherry pick, And it's still hard. I mean, even though we follow Torah, we're still, going through each command and finding, wow, we don't do this one. We need to start doing this. Or we find new stuff all the time. Just like I said, this Passover, we're celebrating it totally different than we did in the past years, just because we were following the Sliver New Moon in the past. And, I think last year we followed we had the first couple of years we followed just whatever Israel did, the in my opinion, the false nation of Israel, on the map. We were following what they did.
Really, what and what was on the
Gregorian calendar,
yeah.
And some
which coincides typically with is that before Easter?
Yeah, Easter coincides with it. Yeah,
or that's yeah. Sorry,
but I mean it's based on a lot of tradition.
Yeah,
and but anyways, I mean we went the next year. You know, we intercalated the 13th month, which is based on some people that we follow, like Adam from Parable of the Vineyard, Adam Fink, and just there was a lot of other people that were doing it as well. And we did it last year according to that, and then this year,
which is based on scripture.
Which is based on scripture. Yeah, we're not. Right? Yeah, we're growing as we grow. We read things a little differently.
Yeah.
Okay. And anyways, I forgot what I was going to say, but I mean, I just think so this year.
Yeah.
We're 2 weeks away from most people's Passover was 2 weeks ago. If you went by the Sliver New Moon, then the 14th day was 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And there's a lot of verses, tons of verses that people use for the sliver, but the biggest, I'll just give two little things here two quick little things just to make you think, and it made me think, and I've been in anguish, and I guess that's the right adjective. But I've been in actual anguish, for in studying this and praying for it over the last month, because I want to get it right, and I don't want to get it right to be right. I want to get it right because I love my Father, and like we all love our Father, but I love Him, and I want to do what He's doing. I want to do what the angels are doing in heaven. I want to be on the right day, and I want to try to do it the best I can.
Yeah.
And there's a problem to me. There's a problem when the Sliver New Moon is so popular. That's a big red flag to me.
It's popular among other religions.
Yes, popular among other religions. Muslims, they worship this. There's a lot of meaning in the Islamic traditions for the Sliver New Moon. And so many things. I mean, and so many things that point to me is this could be false. And so I just wanted to search it out. Of course, my mind immediately goes to verses in Enoch, and I'm like, no, it can't be. It's the Sliver New Moon. That's how, But if you opened your mind a little bit and start reading verses in a different way without that preconceived notion that it is the Sliver New Moon, you start seeing it a little different. And that's number one. Okay, if the whole world's on board with the Sliver New Moon, then there might be something wrong with it, and maybe we should test it.
Right.
And number two, and this was a big thing for me, you have 3 out of the 4 Gospels talk about the sun being darkened when Yahushua was dying on the cross, when he died on the cross, or on the stake, or whatever you might believe. And the sun was darkened. You also have a lot of historical references, and you can give whatever amount of credence you want to those things. I trust them slightly, but everything's been manipulated, especially when it's historical. But you have many historical references talking about an eclipse, a solar eclipse that happened during that time when Yeshua was dying on the cross. Okay, so this cannot happen with a full moon. So the normal Passover that starts on the Sliver New Moon, the normal new moon that starts on the sliver, 14 days later, the normal Passover will always have a full moon. And you cannot have an eclipse on a full moon. A solar eclipse can only happen on a new moon, on the Sliver New Moon, on a blacked out moon. So if you go by a full moon, new moon, of course today's April 30th, and today is our Passover because we started the month with a full moon. And 14 days later, we have a dark moon. And it just so happens there is a solar eclipse today in much of South America. They will experience it, and if I'm not mistaken, in other places. There just so happens to be a solar eclipse today. And, and listen, if Yahuwah wanted to black out the sun any way he wants to, he can do it. But
that's right.
But he does work in the ways in his creation. Like he created his creation to move in a certain way and to have certain times that it does things. And so it's just, that to me is a huge deal. How do we reconcile that? How do we reconcile the sun being darkened and an eclipse happening when Yeshua died during a Passover that was supposedly during a full moon? It cannot happen with a full moon. So it's just very interesting. There's many other things. There's a verse in Jubilees that says the Passover sacrifice cannot have any kind of light. It cannot have any portions of light shining upon it. So whenever you sacrifice the Passover, you cannot have a portion of light. So the sun has to go down. But the problem with the normal Passover is as soon as the sun comes down, there's a full moon. And so we know that the full moon comes up as soon as the sun goes down. When the sun goes down in the west, the full moon comes up in the east, giving you quite a bit of light, a portion of light. It's a seventh portion of the sun's light, according to Enoch and Jubilees. So you have a portion of light shining on your Passover lamb while you sacrifice, which, according to Jubilees, you're not supposed to have any portion of light.
Right.
Which is interesting. There's so many other things. But, and we don't know. Next year we could be doing it totally different.
Yeah.
But we're going to still, try to seek Yah's right rulings on this.
Well, and you have, it's kind of, so to take it into, I won't say confirmation, but definitely I think there have been some signs that have given us a bit more confidence that we have peace with, the timing in which we're celebrating it. You had prayed for a vision or a dream, right? And
I didn't even want to see anything spectacular. I just wanted to, y'all give me a dream of a full moon or a crescent moon, or stop me if I'm if I'm barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah, if we're being deceived or if this is the wrong path.
Yeah, stop me. I'll change. I don't care. I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to be doing what he wants me to be doing.
Yeah.
And
I look.
He didn't say anything.
Yeah, he didn't say anything.
Didn't stop me.
And you look around, at least where we are. And granted, we're on a mountain. We live on a mountain, but everything, just in the last couple of weeks, has looked and felt more like spring.
With the start of the full moon.
With the start of the full moon, and the dogwood is blooming, for example. And I want to talk just a little bit about that, because I think that is an interesting, I think that is a sign for us. But you see things around you, and it's that time, right? It's that season. And I say spring because I look, and it's, we're saying spring just based on when we believe the new year begins, and the seasons in which it begins too.
Yeah, the first month of Abib. And so to know that, we have to know when the new moon is letting us know. You know?
And so we... So this is just a couple things really quickly. So yesterday, I don't really do a lot of decorations for Passover, but I do like to do something, like to bring in some flowers, bring in some greenery, bring in something from our land, and just, running out of time and everything, and trying to prepare for Passover and Shabbat as well. And yesterday, Jim comes in with this vase full of dogwood branches with dogwood blossoms on it, and it is just beautiful and gorgeous. And I'm like, it's just it. I was like, that's it. That's the centerpiece. That's what I need for my table. And he didn't even know. You didn't even know that I was desiring to have something, just a sign of spring, a sign of the feast days, And you brought that in, and I was just like, yes, that's beautiful. And so I didn't think much more about it. And then our dog, her name is Luna. She
Luna, the moon.
Luna, we named her Luna because her eyes look like the moon.
Yeah, they look like a full moon.
They're look like
bright,
a full moon.
White blue.
They're beautiful.
Whitish blue.
Yeah.
They're almost white.
Yeah. So she's pregnant. We've known that we're in kind of like, this week of the last few days of she's ready. Like, she's ready to give birth, And we've just been kind of sitting anxiously waiting for when she's going to have them. Over the last week, and she still hasn't had them. And then this morning we wake up. Well, you woke up and walked outside,
Yeah. As soon as the sun started coming up this morning, she started popping out puppies.
She started popping out puppies. And she had 11 puppies this morning on Passover. We call them our Passover puppies. And you just had an interesting thought. You know, we were just saying, okay, well, y'all, is this a sign? You know, life being created on Passover, you know, and then you looked up. The
puppies, what was interesting about it is that, you know, had we celebrated Passover 2 weeks ago, you know, at the normal time, this would just be a normal day, just any regular day. And she's having them, which is pretty awesome, but it would just been a regular day. And it just so happens that today is, you know, our Passover. Today is the Passover that we're celebrating. And it just so happens the sun comes up, boom, she starts having puppies because the day has begun on the 14th.
Yeah.
Today is the 14th of Abib, and it's just incredible. It was like a sign, and I'm thinking, you know, like I asked for a dream. I've been asking over the past month or 2 months because I'm just, and like I said, been in anguish and prayer and studying this, trying to figure it out, trying not to be wrong and trying not to lead my family astray. And he hasn't really answered me, you know. He didn't, and I kept praying, and, you know, I was kind of upset. I was like, I just need just one dream or something, just to stop me or to keep me going or whatever. And then he doesn't give me, it's amazing, is incredible because he doesn't give you exactly what you want. He gives you better, something better than that. And today, for whatever reason, it spoke to me. Puppies on Passover, it's like, of course, why wouldn't Yah speak in this way? Because only he can create life, and he chooses which day life is to come and which day life is to go.
Yes.
And to see these little life forms appear right here on Passover, it's beautiful because it's nothing I can control.
Yeah.
It just happened. And of course he's behind it.
Yeah, of course he is. Yeah. And the dogwood, I think, is just... I didn't even know we had dogwood. We had, at our old house, we had this beautiful dogwood tree in the front yard. Biggest one, I mean, most dogwoods are they're not very big. And we had a massive dogwood tree. And it just was like the sign. I remember every year it would bloom. It was our first sign of spring. And so when you brought that dogwood in, I didn't think anything about it. And then you were telling me, you know, we fetch our spring water. Jim fetches our spring water from a natural spring on our land.
Which we ought to do a video of that because that was an incredible thing too. Just praying. We didn't know there was a spring. And we just prayed and Yah showed us where to dig. Yeah. It's weird. Yeah. But he literally said, dig here. And we dug and there's a spring. Yeah. But go ahead.
And that's our drinking water. So he goes down every... couple weeks or so and loads up 4 or 5 gallon water jugs.
4 or 5.
4 or 5 gallons. I'm sorry.
So like 30 gallons. Well, 20 gallons.
You know, details.
Sorry,
Minor details. I know.
It's really hard.
Well, it's out, and then you're carrying it uphill. Anyways, it is a beast of. It is a job to do all of that. And anyway, so you were going down there yesterday to get us water, so we wouldn't have to worry about that the next couple days for Sabbath and
just Passover, yeah.
Yeah, and so as you notice that this hemlock, right? This hemlock just fell and crushed this dogwood.
Oh, killed it! Yeah, it just totally destroyed this dogwood, and I had noticed it before because it just these hemlocks are over 100 years old. Yeah, and some there's a disease or something that's killing them off, but they're falling down, and when they fall they just take everything with it, and it just crushed a dogwood.
Yeah, but it didn't, it may have died, but it started producing, I mean, the branches were still producing flowers. Yeah, I mean, there was still life in it. On it, yeah. Anyway, so we were just like, what is does a dogwood mean something? Well, we Googled that because there's nothing in scripture that we could find about dogwoods. But, we try, we're just looking, and it's just interesting. You want to just share kind of what a dogwood symbolizes?
Yeah, I mean, according to Google. Yeah, and according to the world, yeah.
Yeah, just culturally.
Yeah, it symbolizes rebirth. Yeah. It symbolizes strength, and there's a couple other things. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it symbolizes, I kind of wrote it down, which I just thought was interesting. They are connected to Christianity, so it's interesting that there would be some connection between rebirth and Christianity.
And Messiah, there's a lot of things to do with the cross, with his, the nails in his hands.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff with the shape of the leaves. The
shape of the flowers.
There's the flowers, crown of thorns. I mean, there's so many things. It's a significant flower and tree for this time of year.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to happen to bring that into our home and not even thinking about it. And so, there's some incredible things. And I've got, I want to check the dew tomorrow in the morning, which is kind of funny because that's what, I don't know. I just think that's really cool because we were reading about Gideon last night.
Yeah.
And how he was like
asking for signs from.
He was asking for dew on the ground for signs. And what we just read in the Targum about the Passover, and that's when the dew comes down.
Yeah.
During the Passover.
Yeah. So
I can't wait to see if there's like dew on the ground tomorrow and tonight, and just some crazy things like. And this is beautiful because I'm almost like, it's so funny. I'm almost like I feel like a little kid running outside last night to see if there was dew on the ground. Running barefoot. Yeah. It's just like, it brings back to me. It brings back being a little kid and being able to just. I don't know. It just makes me excited for the kingdom.
Yeah.
Literally excited for the kingdom and waking up in the kingdom. Not that we would be sleeping. I don't know if we'll sleep, but waking up and just say, today's the Passover. Can't wait to celebrate it with our Father.
And tonight, as we celebrate Passover, we will, as Exodus 12 tells us, to be ready, right?
We'll be ready.
It says,
staves in our hands.
Yes. We're to have staves in our hands, have our sandals, have our shoes on our feet, and be ready, right? Your loins girded, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and you shall eat it in haste. We are to eat our Passover meal in haste because it is the Pesach of Yahuwah.
Yeah.
So we started that last year with having our walking sticks. We had the walking sticks. We had our shoes on our feet. We're ready.
Yeah.
And we'll be ready again tonight.
Yeah.
But
so whatever calendar you're on, whatever day this is to you, or anything, we just happy Passover.
Yeah.
Happy feast days of Yahuwah. They've begun this year, and I can't wait to celebrate the rest of them. What a beautiful, beautiful year. And may we always continue learning, continue seeking His will and seeking His true desires, because we've all gone astray.
Yes.
We've all inherited lies from our fathers. Truly, we've inherited lies from our fathers. May we see those lies and dig deep into the word of Elohim, the word of Yahuwah, which is His only begotten Son, Yeshua HaMashiach. We just live and walk as He walked. That's the desire.
Amen. All right. Happy Pesach.
Happy Pesach.